Hey guys, welcome to session number 18 of the Trailer Music Composers Podcast. Boom. One man with one microphone whose favorite childhood movie was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. Welcome to the Trailer Music Composers Podcast. Hey guys, welcome to another session of the Trailer Music Composers Podcast. Now in this session I wanted to talk about something which I'm pretty sure all aspiring trailer composers are interested in, and to an extent all professional ones too, and other composers alike. It's trying to figure out what makes a successful trailer composer. Obviously we're going to start with the first point of this, which is that success is completely subjective. That, what you deem as a successful career and a successful life is completely up to you. Some people would see success as earning loads of money, some people would see success as earning loads of placements, and believe me, they're not always linked, those two. Some people see success as people listening to their music. People see success as spending time with their family, living in their dream home. There's all these elements, and usually most people's ideas of success are pretty much all of the above: having more money, more time, and more recognition for their skills. So let's say that we're going to define success here on this episode as enough money to be able to live the life that you want. So that's obviously changeable according to what type of lifestyle you want to live. Enough placements to be recognised among your peers for your skills, and enough time to not be writing all the time, to have space for your family, have space for your other interests. Because let's face it, as much as we all love trailer music, we all want to do other stuff too. Well, at least I do anyway. So let's say that's our ideal of success, and that's my ideal, which quite honestly I think I have achieved. So in my eyes, I am a successful trailer composer because I have enough money to live the life I want, which gives me enough time to be with my family and to focus on projects I want to do, get enough placements to get recognition from my peers, which if I had money and time, I'd still look for the recognition, because we all like a little bit of fanfare. So the first aspect here is quality. Because this is the first thing we all do when we learn something. We learn so that we can get good at it. So the first element of success is making sure that you produce enough quality work, or even not even enough quality, but that you just produce good music. And as you will notice, stylistically, that changes according to your genre. Because some people might hear my horror tracks and be like, well, that's horrible. That's not good music, but it's good according to the style. Or some people might hear, classic, epic orchestral and be like, that's pretty boring. Where are the beats? Some people. So it's really important here to gauge quality. Again, subjectively. It's not an objective thing, quality. It's a subjective thing. And the way best to do that is to use your own nose. You need to establish again what it is that makes the music you want to do good quality. And how do you do that? Well, the first thing, and I hear a lot of other composers suggesting this as well, if you want to match up your tracks in quality, you need to match them up to other people in the same arena as you. So do your tracks sound kind of the same? And I don't mean that in like a sound-alike way. I mean it like, do they hold up, in the same way, sort of weighing boxers, not putting a bantamweight in the same league as a heavyweight, because they're good at what they do, but they're not the same league. So it's the same as when you're comparing your tracks, you need to listen to them according to what area you're going into. So let's say, for instance, my area is thriller, which it pretty much is. My music gets mostly placed on thrillers and horrors, and stylistically my music holds up in quality, but the way I judge it, aside from comparison, because I honestly don't often do that, I judge it by how excited the stuff gets me. When I'm writing it, does it get me excited? When I'm mixing it, does it get me excited? When I'm editing it, does it get me excited? And if the answer is yes, then great, we're on to a winner with regard to quality. There are some exceptions to the rule, because obviously when you look back at your catalogue with hindsight, you listen back to your first few tracks and go, blimey, they really weren't good quality, they were awful. But they were representation of your highest quality at the time. I mean, one of my first placements, which was for a National Cheese advert, I look back at it, I can hear that it had character and it had what it needed to do the job then. But I look back at it and be like, oh, those samples weren't great, or, it sounded a bit naff. But at the time, I was loving it. I was thinking, this is possibly the best piece of music I've ever written. And that's kind of what you want to do. You want to get some music that just gets you pumped, because, again, I'm going to talk about energy here. The energy you produce as a writer when writing your music, it is integral, because the energy you produce goes into the sounds. Whether you're a fan of metaphysical stuff or not, we are all beings of energy and vibration, and we vibrate according to our feelings. And if the music we're producing is making us feel happy and excited, then that will vibrate into whatever we produce. And that's my belief, that when you write music that gets you pumped, it gets other people pumped too. And I heard an interview with Richard Ashcroft, who's the lead singer from The Verve. This was back in the 90s, just saying, he was asked the question of how does he choose which songs go on the album, and he listens to them and he's like, if it lights me up, then it gets on the album, which I completely agree with. And that's your marker of quality. And it does get dangerous when you begin to compare yourself to other people who are, say, further down the line than you are, because they might have other tools, they might have other things that enable them to achieve certain results that you can't. For instance, I always used to get into the trap of comparing my tracks to tracks that were professionally mixed and mastered. Most of us trailer composers are lucky enough to have incredibly talented people, like Toby Mason, for example, who mix and master our tracks so that they sound as huge and fat and wide and brutal as possible. And when I used to compare my tracks to those tracks, I'd be like, well, how am I supposed to do this? My ripped copy of this doesn't do the job, because I didn't know what I was doing. So be careful on the comparison note. And you will notice that I often advocate not to compare, and that's why fall back on does this excite me? If it does, great. There is our success in quality. The way you define your quality of success is if you enjoy it and if it gets you excited. And I think this transcends into any form of creative work, whether you're writing trailer music or doing an installation piece of artwork or doing a firework display. If it excites you, you're onto a winner. So the next thing, obviously, we've got our tracks that excite us. How do we then start making money from it? And the next step is to find the salesperson. So this is the element of success that a lot of people struggle with, is opening the gates into the industry. I was lucky enough to be paired with Vic from Elephant Music very, very, very early on in our careers. To be quite honest, we'd both started out exactly the same time. We'd met when we were just starting out, so we've rocketed up together, which I'm incredibly grateful for, which enables me to see the importance of the relationships you build. So a lot of people see publishers, music supervisors, editors, these gatekeepers, as just gatekeepers. They don't see them as people with jobs, right? And you get this with emails, don't you? Hello, this is my music. When can I get it placed? You get incredibly blunt emails. So the next thing you want to think about is, okay, well, how can I deem this next part of my career a success? And this is the secret path. It's the path to placements, and that is building relationships. So take my trailer music school, for example. The students who are super nice and super keen and treat me like a person rather than like a gatekeeper to something else are the ones that I tend to want to go back to and approach about working with. So I'll say, hey, how about trying this? They don't necessarily have to be the best composers, because at the end of the day we're forming relationships, and I'm not going to work with a super talented composer who's not a particularly nice person to deal with, and that's the same with every other publisher and anyone dealing with composers. Make sure you're nice to people, and this is I think a successful tip in life, to be nice, and the niceties and these developing relationships, you will notice, tend to develop into professional relationships because they have a nice solid grounding. All of my work has come from building relationships. I've never really got work from relationships that didn't particularly work, where we didn't connect. The work that I've got has come through relationships where we've connected as people rather than email addresses. Whether that's a shared interest in the band Tool, or the fact that we both started out our careers at the same time, or you name it. So how can you deem this next level of success? Is building relationships. Now I see this day to day on Facebook. I see composers asking the same questions. How do I get in the door? How do I get in the door? How do I get in the door? And I am completely aware of other composers who, whenever a trailer music library has posted a success or a sync or a placement or whatever, they have been the first to comment and been like, congrats guys, love your work. And it's been really personable and really nice. And you'll never guess what? They'd often end up working with those publishers, because you know what? I have the same thing. If someone keeps posting on my Facebook posts or Instagram posts, I'm like, hey, this guy seems nice. I say guy, it could be a girl. Hey, this person seems nice. And there is the start of the relationship. Same with my trailer music school. Some of my students started contacting me more regularly, asking questions about things, and I'm perfectly happy to answer the questions. And then you go, oh wait, here's a picture of a can of beer that I'm drinking, and then it's like, hey, I like beer too. Hey, beer. Admittedly, lots of us drink beer and we like beer, so that's quite an easy commonality. But my point here is, you need to successfully build natural relationships and do it in a nice way. Because then also you'll get a lot of job satisfaction, because you'll have some banter. Most of us are tucked away in our little caves, or having seen a lot of the photos on the Trailer Music Composers support group of people's studios, I can safely say most of us are working in the dark, and it's nice to have human contact, and that's what you get with these relationships. And then the bonus is, obviously, that they also help you out in your career. So here we go. So we've got our quality work. We've started establishing good relationships, and then you'll start to notice that the work flows to you, or at least the opportunity to work for work comes to you, and that opportunity could come in many guises. So this is the next level of success, in my opinion, which is gratitude. Yes, I'm going there, guys. I'm going into gratitude because I think this is incredibly important mindset shift for, well, it was a huge one for me as well, being grateful for what you have. So when someone sends you an album request, i.e. they say, hey Rich, we're doing this funky sci-fi guitar pentatonic drum and bass album, we love your stuff and think actually you'd be a really nice addition to the team. You want to have a go? And I'd be like, thank you so much, this is awesome, yes, I'm in. And the gratitude there comes through in your relationship. So you're still building the relationships, but what you're also doing is you're being grateful for the opportunities that arise, because a lot of people I know and have known have not seen the opportunities when they arise, because they're so focused on a certain thing. Something in the distance that, so for instance, this is like a hypothetical example. I really want to get, an Avengers full feature trailer with audio machine. But whilst you're focusing on that, another trailer company have approached you saying, we're doing some comedy drum intro albums. Would you like to have a pitch? You're like, no, I'm busy. Or, at least you brush it off, or don't put your best foot forward with that. That is your opportunity. So when you're focusing on your goals and stuff like that, it's really important to think about stuff in that manner, to think, how is the universe offering me these opportunities to get to where I want to go? And if you're grateful for these opportunities when they arise, you'll notice, oh look, more opportunities arise, thank you. You have to receive these opportunities to get where you want to go. A good example being the first opportunity I had, which had I not seen it as an opportunity, I wouldn't be where I am today. My friend was doing a label launch with EMI and asked for some 24 type music, and rather than being like, no, actually I want to do film score, I was like, yeah, I love 24, let's do this. And then that got me into a publisher, and then this, that and the other. The opportunities often come in different forms, and if you have a grateful and an open mindset to these, some might call it the yes man attitude, then you will start to be able to look back in your career and pinpoint those moments. Like when Vic asked me to do some solo piano stuff, I was like, hells yeah! So I did some solo piano stuff, and then that became the first 5 Piano Works album for Elephant Music. And at the time I was focusing more on sort of rocky guitar trailer stuff. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like, get into the kind of Cliff Lynn type sound, that was my focus. But I was like, oh, actually, I love writing music, so let's have a go with this piano stuff. And I, of course, downloaded Spitfire, which it was then felt piano, but it's now soft piano, for £3. And hey ho, there you go, 5 albums. I think it's really important for you guys to be successful, to look for the opportunities that arise. And sometimes the opportunities, you're not going to sit back and they're not going to come to you. Sometimes you have to work for them, i.e., like I said, build those relationships. But sometimes when you build those relationships, an opportunity will rear its head. Like, hey, you want to collaborate with me? Or, hey, could you give me some feedback on this track? You never know what it is. And this is the thing, being open-minded and grateful really enables you to be opened up to your career. We're all focused on a career in trailer music, or if you're not listening to this with a trailer music head on, we're all focused on a career in fill in the blank, i.e. film score or ad music or library music, although trailer music is library music. But, anyway, we're all focused on something. But we also need to realise that we get those opportunities regularly to get to where we want. We just don't necessarily see them because they come in hidden forms sometimes. There's like, I'm gonna completely ruin this, but there's that wonderful story about the man looking for riches, and he's actually, I'm not even sure I should say this because I'm just completely ruining it, I know, but basically he was looking for riches. He was sat on this box, he was looking for riches, and nothing was coming to him, and he was getting down the dumps, and he was like, oh, one day maybe I'll just look in this box. Oh look, the riches are in the box. I've been sat on this whole time, because he was expecting riches to come in a certain form. I know some of you are going to comment on this and be like, you got that well wrong, Rich. And yes, I probably did, but if I made a completely new analogy, then bonus. So what I would like you to take from this is, you can be successful in your approaches So be successful by being kind, being grateful, and taking the opportunities that are given to you. Even if you don't necessarily succeed in the manner you wanted to, i.e. I know I've definitely produced some terrible, terrible custom work, but it's taught me something on the way, i.e. You don't enjoy custom, that's my first one, obviously. But it taught me something, it gave me a gift. Whether that gift was the thing I wanted or whether that gift was a lesson, hey, either way, great news. So let's say this, we've worked on our quality, we're building relationships, we're getting opportunities in the form of working with publishers, maybe doing some custom work. Now this is the real thing. How do you measure successful trailer music career now that you are starting to get placements? And this is a mindset thing. It's not a thing we can put in spreadsheets or graphs, because I know there are more composers who get more placements than me. I know there are more composers who get less placements than me. I know there are composers that earn more. I know there are composers that earn less. But it's about your mindset. Because the moment you start to worry, oh, am I doing well? That's when it all starts to go wrong. Because what you need to do is focus on, and I have to say, guys, I'm speaking to myself here. I have to say, this podcast is very therapeutic for me. It's like the nice kick up the bum to remind myself that gratitude comes out here. If you get a placement, yes, winning, this is amazing. You have done an incredible job, because you think about the odds of your track out of the hundreds and thousands of tracks being placed on this trailer, which was being worked on by multiple trailer houses with multiple cuts, being chosen for this film. The odds are tiny. So those of you who've got a placement, no matter how big, no matter how small, you are legendary. So congratulate yourself. That is a success. Whether that becomes a career, that is a different story, So I remember just a few years ago how incredibly excited I would get when I would get one placement. And the reason I would get so incredibly excited is obviously because it was awesome, but it was because I had a bit of a scarcity thing going on. I worried that there weren't enough placements for me, and that I was in a desert and I found the oasis with this single placement, and I kind of thought, I didn't think it was possible to get more than 1 or 2 placements a year, because they can pay well, and this quickly answer a few questions. You can earn hundreds of thousands from a trailer placement with the right companies, or you can earn tens of thousands, or 1,000 or 500, whatever it is. You can earn anything up to that sort of 6 figures. But then if you just get one placement, you're still thinking about the next one. And I find myself doing this. Take now, for example. I'd had some time off for paternity leave, because I just had my wife had given birth to our 3rd child. So I took some time off. In total, I took 5 months off, writing that is. I was still doing some work in the evenings and when I could, but I wasn't strictly composing for trailers. And although I was like, I've taken this time off, I was thinking, it's been a while since I got a placement. Is my luck run out? And then I started focusing on exciting things that excited me, and that upped my vibration, or upped my mood, and boom, I landed 5 trailers this week, which is huge. That's huge. And that's not a common occurrence for me, but there's nothing to say that it can be a common occurrence for me. So now what we need to do is break down the commonalities of the composers who do get regular placements, who've made a successful career And that is, like I said, producing quality music that gives you enough time, enough money to do and live the life you want. And that could be more money or less money, or more time or less time, however you want to do it. And the things I notice are perseverance. I'm going to sound like one of those teachers, yes, the common things here are perseverance and hard work. And it's true. It's so true. Don't give up. Do not give up. Keep producing work that you love. Keep producing work that excites you, even if it is crazy weird. Just do the stuff that excites you, because, like I said, you'll be giving off this cool, happy vibe because you're doing work that's happy and fun and nice. And I say that, yes, most of the music I produce is dark and scary, but it makes me excited and happy when I'm producing it. And I think that's a big deal here, is the energy that I'm putting out. So the perseverance, do not give up. Keep writing and keep having goals in your head of what you want to achieve, i.e. the type of films you want, how many placements, and those goals will give you that drive to keep moving forward. And if you do things that you enjoy, then moving forward is so much more easy. The times when I've slowed my output or slowed my success in my career is when I've spent too much time doing the stuff I didn't enjoy. Or I was working with a company whose work ethic wasn't the same as mine. And that comes back down to relationships. So my relationship with Vic, we work very well together. We understand the way each other work. He understands that when I send him a completely bare bones sketch, he understands where I'm going to take it, and that I will take it there when needs be. And that's really important, because I've worked with some publishers where I send them my sketches and they're like, I can't feedback on this. I'm like, oh yeah, of course, they don't know how I work. So I fill out the sketch, and then they start to get really pernickety about frequencies of snares and things, which is really important, but for me it's not. So I was like, okay, the writing's more important for me rather than the mixing, because I'm not going to be doing the mixing anyway. So sideswipe. So these people who've done well and made a success have a good relationship with the people they work with. And that usually manifests itself as they feature on a lot of their output. So I understandably feature on a lot of Elephant Music's output because I have a good relationship with my publisher. And which leads me to the next thing, the company you work with. Now, we can't all pick and choose the companies we work with. Well, actually you can, but it's hard to see what company is going to work best for you until you actually work with them. So you remember, keep yourself open to opportunities and go with your gut. Because some companies will sell your stuff incredibly successfully. And I've seen this. I've seen my track be pitched for, mid 5 figures, so sort of $50,000-$60,000 for like an act one, and I've seen that same track be pitched for $500. Your agent, your publisher, your salesperson is vital. So it's really important, I think, that you keep those relationships going with the people that you're on the same wavelength with. If you're with a publisher who sees your music as fodder, rather than sees you as an artist whose music that they like, then, I'm not sure that that's going to be the best choice for you. But if that's the only choice you have, keep working at it. You never know what opportunity is going to come. And that's why you see successful trailer music companies, because they have a healthy attitude, I think, to their composers, and I think that's really important. So what have we done? We've done perseverance. We've done focusing on enjoyment. We've done your relationships. Now, let's say we're at this stage where I am, which is you feel successful. What's the next level of success when you've got there? And to be honest with you guys, I'm kind of doing it. And that next level of success is service, I think. So you see the guys who run the Trailer Music Composers Support Group, Cody and Mark and I forget the other people's names. Sorry, apologies guys, if you're listening. They're doing a great job of supporting and serving other composers. That group's superb because you get to post a question. You have these people who are doing this for a living. These real pros who've been doing it for ages, giving you some advice. I would have absolutely loved that when I started out. I knew no other composers, and whenever I did try and contact other composers, they didn't ever reply. So I think a certain level of success is down to the service you give back. And that's what I'm trying to do here with this podcast. I'm essentially talking to myself 10 years ago. Rich, keep going, dude. I know it hurts when you don't win the trailer, and I know it sucks when you don't get to work with the company that you want to, but there's something around the corner. And I'm talking to myself now. There is something around the corner, always. You just have to have faith that it's going to happen. So when you get to that point of you're earning the money, you've got the time, I think it's good to do some service. It doesn't have to necessarily be going to a homeless shelter and cooking food. It doesn't have to be tithing, although both of those things are good. I'm a firm believer in tithing. But I think service, helping other people. I do get a lot of emails from a lot of composers, a lot of DMs from a lot of composers who are, 1 to 60 steps back from me. They're basically iterations of myself in time backwards, who are saying, hey, love to have some feedback on this track, or hey, what's your thoughts on this? And, when I have the time, I'm very happy to help because, you know what? It feels nice. And it's nice to know that perhaps maybe when I need to reach out to somebody, that they'll hopefully return the favour. Say, hey, I know you were amazing, and do you want to be on this podcast? Please, pretty please. It's nice to know that maybe they'll say, love to. Serving each other, I was brought up with this idea that the music industry was an incredibly selfish, dangerous world where you're going to be swindled and taken down, and no, you're not. No, it's not. It is not like that at all. Yes, there are aspects of that, but that's like describing one single city as incredibly dangerous, and that's all that city is. A city is a manifestation of moods, of economy, of all these things, and there is such a variety of things in a city, and as there is in the music industry. Yes, there are people being swindled. Yes, there are people making millions. Yes, but we're also in a nice community where we can help each other out. And I think it's been a successful day, obviously if I get a placement, and if I have time with my family, and if I get to help somebody. So I really hope I'm helping you with this podcast because that's right, Rich, 10 years ago. You'll get there, persevere. If you are there, why not reply to one of those messages being like, hey, my studio setup is this, or don't bother spending your money on another sample library, just get better at writing, or don't bother getting a better MIDI keyboard. They're all basically the same. They aren't strictly my opinions, but although I do align with them in some way, but they are just examples of ways you can help. And that's the thing, shift your mindset, because sometimes you don't even realising you're helping or serving somebody. By producing good work, you are serving somebody. I'm incredibly grateful for Two Steps from Hell, those two chaps, because, I don't know, Thomas and, I'm terrible with names, I'm sorry guys, their music output was fantastic, and it got me excited. Obviously I'm incredibly grateful for all the rock bands of the 90s and the noughties and classical composers. Thank you guys. That is service. Doing good music is service, and that comes back down, we're going full circle here guys, to doing stuff that you enjoy and that you're curious about. I love it when I hear a trailer and I'm like, ooh, how did they do that? Isn't that cool? We're doing each other a favour. So I think that is pretty important when it comes to How do we measure? How do we become successful trailer composers? I'm not going to be like, first, email this company. Second, here's my template to email them. Third, copy this track, because that would be nonsense. It's all mindset, guys. It's all mindset. And I think you're noticing a trend in my podcast here. It's almost all mindset. I'm not... Although I think I might be throwing a couple of episodes out there that are a bit more like, and this is how you do a good transition. But actually, I think I'm helping myself by doing this podcast. It's very therapeutic for me, and I think I'm helping other people too. Because, like I said, I think I'm at a level of success where I can sort of stand back with that sort of 1,000-mile view, looking over the land of the past, and be like, oh, okay, I see the commonalities. I see the red thread that ties my career together. And it's those things. Perseverance was a huge thing. Doing stuff I enjoy and being nice. Being nice to work with. I like working with nice people, and I'm sure you do too. And yeah, I'm rather than me ramble on more about those points. You need to decide how to measure your success. You can't measure your success on other people's, because that's when you start to enter the sad and unhappy world of comparison. You need to sit down, I suggest with a pen and a massive piece of paper, or post-it notes, whatever, and write down what a successful life looks like to you, what a successful day looks like to you. And then if you carry on persevering with trailer music and you keep those ideas of success in your mind, then you will find that life starts to manifest. Maybe slowly, maybe incredibly quickly. It depends. I did that. And again, I'm going back into this area that some might call woo-woo, but I call it life. Vision boards. I kid you not, I did a vision board where I cut out pictures of what I wanted my life to look like. And you know what? We just bought a house recently, last year, where the sitting room, sort of open plan sitting kitchen, dining room, was exactly the same as a picture I cut out. I think it was 8 years ago or something like that. Exactly the same. If I'd have said to myself as I was cutting that picture out 8 years ago, hey dude, you're going to get that, I'd be like, no way. Admittedly, I'm still waiting for that kind of Beauty and the Beast style library, but it's probably just around the corner. So on that note, guys, go grab a piece of pen and paper, define what your success is, whether that's tons of placements, whether that's one massive placement a year, whether it is being able to watch your children grow up by spending the time with them, or whether it's travelling the world with a laptop and a sample library. Define your success. This is your path that you need to write. So try not to compare. Try and define what you deem as successful. If I'd have told myself 8 years ago that my most successful tracks were the ones where I played violin and cello on, brackets badly, I would have been like, no. Yeah, because I did it because it was fun. Go and have some fun, guys. And I so very much appreciate you taking the time to listen to this podcast. You are freaking awesome. See ya.